taxes and who lied. When are we going to wrap it up, get it over with?
James Comey grilled by Republicans, questioned over decisions made during the 2016 election.
I have total confidence that the FISA process was followed. The notion that FISA was abused here is nonsense.
He broke every rule in the book. He made new rules. He leaked. I think he's been thoroughly discredited.
Protests heating up in Paris. President Macron keeping out of sight, leaving his government to handle the chaos.
He just looks so disconnected. Macron was held up to be the big hope of the European project.
We are focusing, of course, on the big Army-Navy game that's happening today.
In Army! Woo! Go Army! Beat Navy! Yeah!
Anything can happen. The thrill of my life is winning the Army-Navy game was a big deal.
By the way, if he could sing the entire song too and dance because he's talented.
Well, maybe we should have him on the program tomorrow.
Sing and dance. We should have him on
That's
tomorrow.
fantastic. I love it. Well, welcome, Dr.
Thank you
Nicole
guys.
Saphier.
So
Thanks
happy
for
to be
being
here. It's
Might
great
have
to be
have
on the couch.
Dance all over Pete if Navy beats Army.
We'll see about that. 3 big news items today. Trump exonerated. The elites in France are under siege, and Army's going to win.
Wow.
Well,
Army winning by 10 at least.
All right, that's the show.
That's your
All right,
day.
let's do it.
Show's over. Right there. But
Before he's exonerated, let me go over to the touchscreen and give
Break
you
it down
some
for us,
facts.
Please,
All right, let's talk about this. All right, we've got the Mueller memos. We're having a little fun with Pete, and we got Geraldo coming up to break it down as well. So the Mueller memos, they come out on Friday. Bad news for Michael Cohen and Paul Manafort, who both lied, and that's something they shouldn't have done. But no explicit evidence of collusion in either of these memos. It's very important to underscore. The other issue, let's break it down with Cohen first. Big problems, the taxi medallions, failing to pay his taxes, financial crimes, a long list of that. But again, while there was a suggestion here in the memo that Cohen had contact in November of 2015 with someone who's allegedly a trusted source in Russia, there was communication he had, but not exactly collusion with Russia, because he didn't really follow up on this conversation where a Russian allegedly talked about political synergy with the Trump campaign. What the memo does lay out is campaign finance payments. And the question is, did that break the law? The memo from Team Mueller suggests that the president directed his one-time attorney, Michael Cohen, to use personal funds to pay off at least 2 women, Stormy Daniels, as well as Karen McDougal. And we've heard about that before, but the key is that while the suggestion is that helped his campaign and maybe as some sort of violation of campaign law, as we've heard from Alan Dershowitz and others, it was personal funds from the president, not campaign funds. Remember, John Edwards had a similar situation and got off the hook. The other question now about Paul Manafort, I mentioned about his lying. They go deeper in the memo about him that he told discernible lies. But one of the lies is about someone named Dr. K in Cyprus. No clear connection to the president, no clear connection to Russian collusion. There's a text message, though, that he may have lied about in May, where Manafort allegedly told one of his associates, yes, make contact with a Trump administration official. Does that suggest obstruction? Does that suggest some sort of problem? That is something that's going to be followed up on. But again, at the end of the day, there's absolutely nothing in both of these memos, page after page, that suggests there was collusion with Russia. And Molly Hemingway was on Special Report last night saying, this started as an investigation of Russian interference in 2016 and has morphed into something much else. Watch.
We were sold the special counsel as an investigation into treasonous collusion with Russia to steal the election. We're not seeing treasonous collusion with Russia, nor anything close to it. Even the people who set up this special counsel are now admitting that it was set up not because they thought there was treasonous collusion with Russia to steal an election. There is an important issue here about the federal government, how it runs, and whether it's okay to win an election, even if it makes certain people very angry.
Okay, so bottom line is we know that Cohen and Manafort lied, broke laws, but let's bring in Geraldo Rivera, our Fox News correspondent at large, to see what his take is.
Geraldo, I've got to get your take. Let me start with this. I was on my way into the show today, and I looked at...
Good morning. Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning.
Good
Welcome.
morning.
I fired up CNN. The headline was, Friday was a very bad day for Donald Trump. But if you go into the actual article, CNN notes, nothing that emerged on Friday or with Flynn earlier this week is any sort of smoking gun that pins collusion or obstruction of justice on Trump. What's more important, the headline or the fine print?
Well, I think what's most important is that the president has not committed a high crime or misdemeanor, at least not as contained in the various sentencing memos that we're talking about today. This has always been about a toxic, illegal, traitorous collusion with the Russians to sabotage the U.S. election. That is not at all what the special counsel has come up with. If I can briefly review it, I thought that Ed Henry did a great job at the board. But what you have here, and the embarrassing revelations we have here, we know now that Michael Cohen, earlier than previously known, began the negotiations for Trump Tower way back in 2013. We also know that those negotiations over Trump Tower in Moscow did not end, as previously thought, in January 2016, when the president's campaign was really heating up. It ended in June of 2016, when he was already the certain nominee. So you have a sleaze factor here, where Michael Cohen, on behalf of the president, is negotiating these real estate deals, even as the president is running for the high office, the highest office in the land. Why didn't he drop it earlier? As tacky as it is, though, and this is the bottom line, and I think Professor Dershowitz and I are on absolutely the same page, that is not criminal. The one crime that I can see in all of these sentencing memos is the fact that the President of the United States did direct Michael Cohen, as everybody expected. Michael Cohen didn't come up out of thin air and say, all of a sudden, I'm going to make payouts to Stormy Daniels and Karen McDougal, the Playmate and the porn star. That was President Trump directed that. And so the special counsel says, isn't that a campaign finance violation? And the answer is it may very well be a campaign finance violation, just like the one President Obama committed when he paid $400,000 in fines and the damn thing went away in 2 weeks.
Well, same thing with John Edwards, even a more direct payment not deemed to be a campaign finance violation. So even that, is anything you see in these filings there or worthy of all the hyperbole we get
the headlines
in the so-called
we're seeing
media?
today?
Exactly.
I think that the embarrassment to the president has already been suffered, I believe. It's already been factored in by the American people, those who love him. There's nothing in here that will make you change your opinion of him. Those who hate him, of course, they will accentuate the negative to the extent that they can in their further attempt to smear the president and to distract his administration. But as I've been saying really for many, many months, this is collusion, illusion. There is nothing here. There is no smoking gun here. If indeed Michael Cohen had met with this another Russian knucklehead meets Michael Cohen, our knucklehead, and they say, well, if President Trump, could spend a little time, hanging out time with Vladimir Putin, man, things would go swimmingly, not only for Trump Tower, but also for U.S.-Russian relations. I mean, aside from that one contact that seems very mushy and braggadocious, it doesn't seem to me that there is any Russian collusion at this late date, after all that we've gone through, after the millions have been spent and the many months have told. We have no Russian collusion. It may not be, as the president exuberantly tweeted, that he's totally exonerated, but it certainly seems that, again, there's nothing impeachable here. His critics can have fun with this stuff. But there's no toxic, no treasonous, no criminal collusion.
So embarrassing, but not criminal on the president's part. So these filings don't show collusion. So what's next?
Well, I think that they've got to act out the last chapter of this saga, of this sad saga. Michael Cohen. The special counsel said treat him leniently, but the Southern District, the stuff that has nothing to do with President Trump, the taxi medallions and so forth, the U.S. attorney in the Southern District says throw the book at Michael Cohen. That means 4 to 5 years. So we'll see Michael Cohen get sentenced. Paul Manafort, the only chance that sucker has is of a presidential pardon because of those convictions of his dirty dealings, again, before he ever met President Trump in the Virginia federal court.
But he would still be vulnerable to state law. So even if he got the federal pardon, it doesn't mean that he would be going away scot-free, correct?
Right. I mean, the Supreme Court has held there are 2 sovereigns that the federal government can have its shot. But then the state government may also, even if it's the same set of facts, go after someone. But, Manafort's defense was pretty spirited, if you recall. in Virginia. We did not know when the jury went out how they were going to return their verdict. And I don't think a state, the Commonwealth of Virginia, for instance, I don't believe that I think that Manafort's in plenty of trouble. So is Michael Cohen. But the headline is it has nothing to do with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Geraldo.
Geraldo.
All right, appreciate it, buddy.
Have a good Saturday.
Nice meeting you. Thanks.
All right, let's go over to Carly Shimkus, who has more headlines.
Hey, good morning, guys. And we're going to get straight to a Fox News alert. A live look at protests, violent protests erupting in Paris, the city going on lockdown. Former UK Independence Party leader Nigel Farage joined us earlier to react.
You know, living in small-town France, people actually no better off, in fact, perhaps worse off, and feeling completely unrepresented by a president who cuts taxes for the rich and then puts up the cost of filling up your car or van for those on lower incomes. He just looks so disconnected. And remember...
Well, demonstrators are demanding higher wages and better benefits. A live report is coming up. Also breaking right now, 6 people, including 5 teens, are killed in a stampede at a nightclub in Italy overnight. Nearly 60 others are injured. Reports claim the panic may have erupted when the crowd smelled a strong odor in the club, like pepper spray, but officials are still investigating. And WikiLeaks wants a federal judge to drop a lawsuit by the DNC. The organization says the leaked DNC emails it published during the 2016 presidential election are protected by the First Amendment because it's truthful information. Democrats are rejecting that argument, saying illegal activity is not safe under free speech. And new this morning, Christmas coming a bit early for astronauts on the International Space Station. SpaceX's Dragon capsule delivering everything the astronauts need for Christmas dinner, as well as research supplies. It took 2 tries to land at the ISS due to network communication issues. So a very Merry Christmas to all the astronauts on the International Space Station.
That's right. I wonder if they exchange gifts.
Oh, a little Secret Santa?
It's a lot of planning.
Yeah, you have to plan that. I don't know if they have room for extra.
Might be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Probably
Thanks a lot.
All right. Meanwhile, the president slamming Democrats over their open border agenda.
American politicians should protect American citizens, not criminal aliens.
Does he have a point? And where do things stand on funding for the wall? We'll discuss it next.
Plus, it's called America's Game. The 119-year-old rivalry, the Army versus Navy game, is today. And we're live from the field. Coming up.
American politicians should protect American citizens, not criminal aliens. Unfortunately, there are extreme politicians in cities and states around America, I'm sure you haven't heard about this, who have issued policies to forbid their police departments from working with federal immigration authorities. Hard to believe, isn't it?
All right, well, President Trump bringing the battle over sanctuary cities back into the spotlight.
This as U.S. and Mexican officials grapple with convicted criminals embedded in the caravan of migrants hoping to make it to the U.S.
So does he have a point? Let's ask former Florida GOP House candidate, daughter of political refugees from Cuba, Maria Elvira Salazar. Good to see you on the couch.
Wonderful to be here.
You lost a very close race against Donna Shalala down in Florida. This is one of the issues you were battling out.
Yeah.
Why do you think President Trump is right there?
Well, I think that that it's time for Hispanics to wake up and understand that we need to put order at the border and to solve this immigration problem that we have, which is not only the border wall, but we have the unaccompanied minors and we have the sanctuary cities and we have the people that have been here for more than 20 years and they do not have a criminal record. What are we going to do with them? So immigration was the signature plank for President Trump. And unfortunately, Dems are not helping. But Republicans at the same time, I don't think that we have encountered the problem the way we need to.
Well, critics of the president will say when he says we need to protect American citizens in front of criminal aliens, that's just code talk for being anti-Hispanic. He doesn't want to let anybody in.
Which is not true, because, you know, what I see here is that President Trump had the courage to say what other presidents and other administrations did not dare, because they did not want what? The political condemnation, the international outcry, the backlash. He dared to do something that needed to be done, which is to put order at the border, whether it's the wall or very stringent and high security at the border, however you want to call it. What are we going to do with the asylum system? It's a disaster. So those that do need to apply for asylum and they have legitimate claims are being overshadowed by those that are coming in and they only have economic reasons.
And a lot of the illegal immigrants that are coming over, they're coming over at non-legal points of entry. And I think that's what you're alluding to. We need order there. President Trump is not saying no one can come in, but they need to come in following the legal process. We need to reform the asylum, right?
And let's talk about the wall. We may have a wall with very big gates. I've said that over and over during my campaign, during this cycle. Why? Because the market needs people. Sometimes there are, I'm sure that you guys know and you've reported it. We have some cities where you have more jobs than hands to fill those jobs. We don't need that either for economic progress, right? But we need to have those people come in with a little piece of paper saying, okay, you're going to go and pick up the jalapeno peppers in Southern California, or you're going to be the doctor that Manhattan Hospital needs. Legality with order.
But Nancy Pelosi will be kind of the new sheriff in town, perhaps, as Democrats come into the House. And a few days ago, Tucker Carlson was playing this clip last night. She said that the wall is not just wrong. She said it's immoral.
Listen, Democrats cannot pontificate on morality when it comes to Hispanics, and I'm going to tell you why. And I can say it openly. Democrats have played political football with Hispanics for more than 20 years, and we are very upset. And I'm going to give you two facts that no one can refute. In 2009, President Obama said to Spanish television, I worked in Spanish television for 35 years. He said to us, we're going to pass an immigration reform law within the first year. And what did he do? He gave that political capital to Obamacare. It's fine. I'm not saying that he could have chosen to do everything he wanted, but do not promise something so substantial, so of biblical proportions, and then just throw a little bone at us called an executive order named DACA.
Quick second point, because we got to go.
And second one is the 1996 immigration reform law signed by President Clinton. Everything that Trump is being criticized. We can always discuss that. But everything he's doing is based on the legal framework signed by President Clinton. And these are the defenders and the ones that, the beacons of morality. No way.
Save it. Lyra, thank you very much.
Wonderful.
We hope you'll come back. That was awesome.
Thanks.
All right, well, a Fox News alert. We've got more on the other side about Special Counsel Bob Mueller's new memos about Michael Cohen and Paul Manafort. Alan Dershowitz here to react next.
Some quick headlines. Two former MLB players killed in a Venezuelan car crash. They may have been targeted, we're told, by a gang of thieves. 4 suspects now in custody after being found with the players' belongings. Luis Valbuena played for the Angels last season, while Jose Castillo played for multiple teams, including the Giants. And ex-NFL linebacker Isaiah Robertson was killed when 2 other vehicles slammed into the limo he was driving. Authorities say speed and rain caused it to skid off a Texas road before those collisions. Robertson played 12 seasons for the LA Rams and Buffalo Bills. 2 sad stories.
Yeah, very sad. All right, well, federal prosecutors recommending substantial jail time for Michael Cohen, all the while downplaying his cooperation with the special counsel. So what's next?
Well, joining us now to react, Harvard Law Professor Emeritus and author of The Case Against Impeaching Trump, Alan Dershowitz.
Good morning, Professor.
Good morning. Thank you for coming on again.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's your key takeaway from these 2 memos?
Well, the takeaway is that the Mueller has come up with far less than he hoped for. He's not getting cooperation, obviously, from Manafort. They're at war with each other. And as far as Cohen is concerned, although he, the special counsel, recommended some leniency because he was getting some cooperation, the U.S. Attorney's Office said, really, we want a harsh sentence of 4 to 5 years. Look, I don't think Cohen has anything new. The New York Times reported breathlessly this morning, oh my God, for the first time we have evidence that the president may have been involved in paying these women. We've already heard the tape recording. Remember, Cohen has a tape recording.
Yep.
Cohen doesn't add anything to the tape recording. The difference is the tape recording is credible and Cohen is not. So I don't see anything new in the Cohen revelations about paying off the women. The legal issue is whether a president is entitled to pay women in order to avoid embarrassment to his family, damage to his brand, perhaps impact the presidential election. Also, if he had to report these, the reporting period was after the election, so it wouldn't have any impact on the election anyway. So it's a very, very weak case that Cohen has provided. I suspect that may be the reason he's not getting much in terms of sentencing consideration.
Professor, the White House is preparing for all this. In the military, we used to prepare for the most likely course of action and the most dangerous course of action. For the White House, what is the most likely and what's most dangerous?
The most likely is that we'll get a long report with a lot of circumstantial evidence growing out of the lies that people told, trying to put together a mosaic that shows political sin but not federal crime, that shows that the president may have done things that the American public would disapprove of, wanting to build a tower at the time he was running for president. Maybe the campaign used material from WikiLeaks, but none of that is criminal. So that's the most likely scenario. No crime, but political sin, which would be a complete distortion of what the role of a special counsel is supposed to be. Now, the worst case scenario is that they come up with new evidence that we haven't seen that would suggest criminal conduct. Let me give you one hypothetical example that some people have been talking about. If, in fact, anybody offered Putin a penthouse in a building in exchange for Putin giving permission to build the building in Moscow, that could arguably violate the Federal Corrupt Practices Act. But I've seen no evidence to support that. So I think the president is right to prepare for a likely scenario, worst case scenario. And I think the most important thing is that right now his team ought to be demanding of the Attorney General that no report be released until his team has had a chance to review it and rebut it. And then both reports, the report of Mueller and the report of the Trump defense team, be issued simultaneously so that the American public can judge. Remember, prosecutorial reports are one-sided. It's unfair to issue them without an opportunity to respond.
That's a good point.
The special counsel says that Paul Manafort lied to federal prosecutors in a heavily redacted memo. Do you think anything more is going to come out of that?
Well, redaction generally means that there's something that they're hiding from the public, but Manafort can't ever be used as a witness because he's lied so much. The same is true of Cohen. But what's really a problem with a report is they can use Cohen and Manafort because they're not going to be subject to cross-examination in a report. They would never dream of putting them on the witness stand as actual witnesses subject to cross-examination, but they can use their material in a report. And that's, again, an unfair aspect of prosecutorial reports. That's why, in general, prosecutors don't issue reports. They just say indict, not indict. The problem with Comey is that he went beyond that with Hillary Clinton. And now with a report, we're going to see a prosecutor go beyond that with a report.
Right.
All right. Professor, thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Great stuff. Thank you, sir.
All right, guys. Well, coming up,
Thank you.
President Trump just teasing a major staff change. His brand new tweets.
We haven't even seen that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know about it.
Plus, chaos in Paris. Look at these pictures. Everything's shut down. Protesters clashing with riot police several weeks in a row now. We're live on the ground just ahead.
And our friend Morgan Ortagus is live in Philadelphia for today's big Army-Navy game. She's joined by both the Army and Navy secretaries.
Duke it out.
They might. A war of words and maybe a wrestling match. We'll see. Coming up next.
The Army-Navy game is just hours away. Pete has been talking about it all morning.
All morning, and the historic rivalry will play out for the 119th time at 3 o'clock in Philly.
That's right. U.S. Naval Reserve Officer Morgan Ortagus is joined by two special guests, Dr. Mark T. Esper, Secretary of the Army, and Richard Spencer, Secretary of the Navy. Morgan, take it away.
Good morning, Pete. Not only is it a historic rivalry between Army-Navy, it's a historic rivalry between you and me this morning. So since I've been taking the Navy side, I've been a little biased. I'm going to go first to the Army Secretary. Sir, tell us, what does this game mean for Army? You've won the past 2 years. You're on a winning streak. Can you keep it going today?
Absolutely. It's a great game. I like to think it's all part of the new direction the Army is heading, preparing for this high-intensity conflict in this age of great air competition. But the Army team symbolizes all that's great about our Corps of Cadets and the United States Army.
That's great. Thank you so much. So, Secretary Spencer, come on, man. We've got to get the Navy back. We had 14 years of consecutive wins, 2 years of losses. Can Navy pull it off today?
Morgan, as Secretary Esper just said, high-intensity conflict's what it's all about. Tarawa, Iwo Jima, Okinawa. naval forces battles where the odds were against us and we pulled it out. We're going to add Philadelphia to that list.
That's great. So one of the things that I thought was, even though we're a rivalry here at Army-Navy, we saw Army and Navy come together this week in a really beautiful moment. Whenever President George H.W. Bush, a Navy veteran, was laid to rest, we saw this amazing moment where Senator Bob Dole, an Army veteran, got up out of his wheelchair to salute the casket of his fellow competitor and Navy veteran. Tell us about that moment, what you think it meant for Army-Navy.
Those are very moving moments this week for sure. And I'll tell you, Richard and I were talking earlier, we are the bitterest of rivals here on the field today. But at the end of the day, particularly when they graduate, these young men and women will be fantastic officers serving our nation, willing to lay down their lives in defense of our country, and they will do so together as partners on future battlefields.
So, Secretary, the president is going to be here today. He's one of many presidents that have been to this game, and I know what it's like when you have a sitting president. That means so much to the players and so much to people watching. What do you think about the president being here today? What do you think we can expect?
I think it's fantastic that he's here today to see his two services compete on the gridiron right here. It fires up the midshipmen. It fires up our Army competitors. It all is good.
And we're going to have a Navy win, right?
We certainly are.
All righty. Well, Pete, you heard it, and it's going to be a Navy win.
I will only note that ever since our nation elected Donald Trump to be president, Army has won each time. So just remind the good secretaries of that fact for me, will you?
All right.
I will.
Thank you, Morgan. Appreciate
Thanks, Morgan.
it. Good stuff.
All right. Now to Carly. She has some more headlines for us this morning.
Yeah, that's right, guys. And we begin with a Fox News alert. Moments ago, President Trump nominates a new chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, tweeting, "I am pleased to announce my nomination of 4-star General Mark Milley, Chief of Staff of the United States Army, as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, replacing General Joe Dunford, who will be retiring. I am thankful to both of these incredible men for their service to our country. Date of transition to be determined." This afternoon, the president will head to today's Army-Navy game. And a U.S. appeals court denies the Trump administration's request to reinstate its asylum ban. In a 2-1 decision overnight, the 9th District Court claims the ban is inconsistent with an existing U.S. law. President Trump issued the ban last month in response to the thousands of migrants approaching our southern border. And a tragic twist in the Thousand Oaks mass shooting. The hero sergeant who died trying to save others was killed by friendly fire. The gunman immediately ambushed Ron Helis and a California highway patrolman as they stormed into the bar. During a dark, chaotic gunfight, Helis was shot 5 times, but it was a 6th bullet fired by a CHP officer that caused the fatal blow. The Ventura County Sheriff says the officer is devastated. And a classic song, Baby It's Cold Outside, has recently been getting a chilly reception. But singer Dean Martin's daughter says she's not going to stop singing the holiday favorite.
Really can't stay.
Baby, it's cold outside.
I've got to go away.
But baby, it's cold outside.
Well, Dina Martin telling Fox News the song, quote, is a cute, flirtatious, and romantic song that is played every holiday season. I personally love performing Baby It's Cold Outside and will continue to do so. Critics claim the song is problematic when it comes to unwanted advances. And those are your headlines. Guys, I'll send it back down to you.
All right.
Thank you, Carly.
The PC police kill everything. Everything they see, they crush.
Well, maybe I can't say baby, but it's cold outside,
It
and
sure
Rick
is.
Reichmuth is all over it. How are you, Rick?
It's cold outside. Oh, ow, that hurt. That hurt. From Texas, hey, let's take a look at the weather maps. It's raining and snowing in Texas. And a big storm that's moving across parts of the south. Tonight will really take aim across parts of the southern Appalachians, North Georgia mountains from around Helen northward over towards Asheville. Charlotte and Raleigh is kind of the big question. Right on the line between a little bit more rain, a little bit more snow. Right now, the snow is up to 8 inches have accumulated around Lubbock. You see the heavy rain now moving across parts of Louisiana throughout the day today. It moves towards the east, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. You're all going to get the rain, but then that snow line is off towards the north. You see the snow there where the temperatures are cool enough, but it will cool down overnight tonight and fill in with mostly snow across much of at least east or western parts of North Carolina and eventually Virginia as well. And some of those accumulations are going to be really extreme, probably the biggest snowstorm you'll have all year, starting right here off at the beginning of December. There you go. All right, guys, back to you inside.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it.
Wow.
There we go.
Enthusiastic out there.
Party folks out there.
It might be because Christmas is right around the corner. We've got the biggest over-the-top toys that will top many kids' list this year.
That's right. Joining us now is Executive Director with the Toy Insider, Jackie Breyer. Thank you so much for coming and bringing all these fun toys.
Yeah, we're going to have a fun time. So,
what are you holding?
This is a Pick-Me-Pop.
It looks like a Bluebill thing.
Super flip. So, check it out. Inside, there's a lot of fun blind bags with super fun things, but the best part is the top unflips. We've got a fun little pet.
I was thinking it was gonna be a hat.
And a little friend, and this one's actually scented.
It smells like cotton candy.
Really? Yeah.
And what's the purpose of this?
Yeah, it's just fun.
General fluffy-ness, loveliness.
It's a toy,
and the
kids
blind
love it.
bags kids can unbox and play with too.
Got it. Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Boys,
so
I don't have a
Even
lot
this
of
one
it.
folds. Okay.
These are, yes, we've got Zuma Jumbo Checkers and Jumbo Bowling, so the kids are having fun here. What's great about these is they're durable for inside or outside.
That's great.
Yeah, and they both come with a storage bag, so you can take it on the go, clean it up easy. You want to knock down the bowling pins, Henry?
Yeah. Pete could not beat me when we were bowling outside.
Oh, you're going to knock him
I
down?
wonder if the kids can beat him.
Okay.
Ooh, that's shade.
What do you think?
Some shade.
These are huge toys, though.
They're
What is-
huge.
Yeah.
So fun for outside, right?
So what is this? How much does this cost?
These are just 25 each.
Oh, that's
super affordable, really durable. And over here, we've got Playdate Rapunzel and her horse Maximus. They're great. They have beautiful long hair that kids can brush. Maximus, when you feed him his apple, he chomps on it. Lena, shove that in there and see. Can you hear him?
When we were tossing to Morgan Ortegas, Rapunzel fell over. So our viewers may have heard that. Yeah.
She's got a lot of articulation too, so you can pose her a lot of ways. It's really fun for playing.
I want to know what this is. This seems super fun.
Yes, yes, yes. So this is Scout, Ride-A-Mill Scout, and he has over 100 different unique movements and sounds. And he actually can go. Can you make him go forward? Yeah. So kids can actually ride him. He's got two speeds going forward, and he can also go in reverse. So kids have a lot of fun with him. He comes with a lot of accessories too.
This castle.
Does this castle come with the child inside? Oh, okay.
Made for 3-year-olds.
Jackson does not come with it, unfortunately.
What's up, buddy?
This is the Fisher-Price Bounsational Bouncer. It's awesome because it's also great inside or outside. You can leave this inflated. You don't have to leave a blower going.
And physical activity
no
on a
joke,
snow day.
The inflator is attached, and it takes 4 minutes. The whole thing's
it's
up
amazing.
and running. Comes with the balls for the pit too.
All right, and tell us about
Looks fun.
Master Monster Mayhem. This is a really fun show on Nicktoons, and kids can play it.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Wow.
You should let the kids do it.
It's about as tall as I am.
It's huge. It's 5 feet in diameter, and kids can try to hit each other's target, just like in the show on Nicktoons.
This is a crowd pleaser.
Go to toyinsider.com. We have all of this and more.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Thank you so much. It's great being here.
Playing with everything.
Yeah.
You got the doll?
This is
Is there a weight limit for this?
I want her hair.
We just want to play.
Can I bowl for you? Ready?
Can I pretend?
Oh, here we go, Pete.
Nailed it.
Pete finally won.
At least we'll have one
More
win
Fox and
because I
Friends
hear
on the other
that
side.
Navy is going to.
Oh my God.
We're back with a Fox News alert. This is a live look at the streets of Paris where protests and rioting is heating up.
Violence striking the city for 4th straight weekend.
Greg Palcott joins us live in Paris with more. He's right in the middle of the demonstrations. Good morning, good afternoon there.
Hi, folks. Yeah, we are, in fact, right in the middle of it, right by the Arc de Triomphe. I'll have my cameraman, Pierre, give you a view of Champs-Élysées as you've never seen it before, full of the yellow vest protesters that have turned this city into a war zone for the past couple of hours. Now, like any war, like any battle, it ebbs and flows. A little bit calm now, but about 20 minutes ago, we were seeing percussion bombs, tear gas, rocks, fires being hurled at one another, at the police authorities. Big stuff. Let me show you something else, too. Pierre can just follow me around. We are at the Arc de Triomphe, and that's really the crown jewel for this city, for this government, for this country. It is being protected by rings and rings of police, including armored cars. And if you know anything about Paris, there are a lot of different avenues that lead into the Arc de Triomphe. And every single one of those avenues has protesters, and they want to get to it. They got to it last week. It was ransacked. There was really a lot of uproar over that. Monuments were destroyed. And this is not just happening here. This is happening all over Paris and throughout France. There's been something like 700 arrests. Clichy streets have been destroyed, and a lot of activity. I'll swing you back here, folks, just one more time. Again, it's been a long day, and Pierre, if you can just show a couple of the young people taking a rest right around the police. So it's not all battle. It's not all hardship here, but it's Paris, France, like I've never seen it, and I've been following it for about 30 years, guys.
Yeah, remarkable. I mean, the pictures tell the story. You're doing an even better job of explaining it. But obviously, this is a tourist mecca, or should be, for people from America, people all around the world. I can't imagine that very many people want to take their families to dinner. We're showing a picture you may not be able to see of a burning car, smoke everywhere. This is unbelievable.
No, absolutely. I'll ask Pierre to pan down now. Again, down the Champs-Élysées, a smoke bomb, tear gas. Most of the landmarks are closed today. Most of the restaurants, many of the shops are closed. And this is the height, as we all know, the height of the Christmas season. And no place lovelier than in Paris during the Christmas season. No place uglier right now. I have to make one more point. Again, these protesters started because the gas and diesel prices were going up. It spread to a broader anti-tax, anti-low wages protest against the government. But we have not heard the French president, Emmanuel Macron, once in the past couple of weeks. He could have gone on TV Thursday night and said, hey, I'm listening to you. I'm going to tinker some things because they have given back. I'm going to work this out because I don't want my city, my jewel of the world destroyed. He did not do that. I've talked to analysts and experts to figure out why. He's maybe above that. We don't know. He's going to be talking next week, early part of next week, maybe too late. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Greg. That is the big question. Where is President Macron? You have a beautiful historic city being destroyed, so I think we're all eager to hear about from him.
Well, his policies have also helped destroy it, but I pontificate. Thank you, Greg. All right, up next, we've got goats in a classic Fox and Friends transition. Goats on Fox Square for a Fox and Friends tradition. A special organization is here to tell us how you can save a life by gifting a goat.
All right. Well, it is a Fox and Friends tradition, and we're doing it even though it's freezing out here because we love Ellen, and we're highlighting an organization that helps families in need by sending goats to Africa.
And just in time for the holiday giving season, Goats for the Old Goat is matching every donation.
So here with more is Fox News contributor and Goats for the Old Goat founder, Ellen Ratner.
Hi, how are you? And of course, Darren Peterson. Darren Peterson is now our president, and so there you have it.
Yeah. Oh, and thank you for doing the proper introduction. I love it. Darren, talk to us about what you guys are doing.
Well, you know, one thing I love about Ellen's organization, GEMS, is what the goats immediately provide for orphans and children in South Sudan. So immediately it gives them nutrition. There's not a lot of food. They're starving over there. And we've been over there where we've delivered them to villages, and you can see the malnutrition in the children. They have a little bit of red telltale in their hair. We come back 6 months later, they're more vibrant, the color in their hair is gone. But the thing I love the most, you know, in today's, I have 10 children, believe it or not, and they can't remember what they got last year, but this is the gift that keeps on giving, because we only deliver female goats, she-goats, and they deliver 2 goats a year, and it provides the education for a child through K through 12 for the rest of their life. So this is really like the gift that keeps on giving.
So Ellen, why did you start this so long ago?
So I started because I woke up one morning and I said goats, and so we have these hearts that are made by women who have seen somebody killed or sometimes heard somebody killed in front of them, and you can buy the hearts on our website, goatsfortheoldgoat.com. We bring over the Swarovski crystals, they make the hearts, and then that's it. And then Darren's organization, Life Seasons, which is a for-profit making organization, has really helped the goats in South Sudan, Life Seasons. So
and I think the other thing that goats do, a lot of them have nothing of value, and it gives them immediate value over in Africa, livestock means something, and they've never had anything in their life. To have ownership, it gives them hope that they can attain education. And it's just a wonderful thing to be able to do this for children.
Meet immediate needs, and it's sustainable, and it gives forward.
It's very sustainable,
Absolutely.
and we only give out lady goats so they don't get eaten.
And the amazing thing is, she's delivered over 15,000 goats in South Sudan.
And
Congratulations.
And December, your matching donation. So to donate, go to goatsfortheoldgoat.com.
That's right.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you. More Fox and Friends coming up. Stay tuned.
Merry Christmas.